Hello, and welcome back to another Eduonics tutorial. In this section, we're going over workflow in Photoshop, and in this video, we'll be covering colors, color swatches, adjustment layers, and styles. We're already familiar with the basics of choosing colors. Here in the Tools panel, we have our foreground and background colors. And if we click one, we get this large color picker that not only lets us choose our color, it also gives us the exact number values for the color we're choosing. This is good if we can take the time to open the picker, choose the color we want, and finally hit OK to actually switch to that color. However, sometimes people need colors fast, while their inspiration is still hot. They need something more like the color panel. Up here in my panels on the right, the first one we see on top is the color panel. You can see that the interface looks a lot like the color picker. But watch how easy it is to just pick a color and start painting with it. Another advantage of the color panel is that if we click and drag the top tab area, we can pick it up and move it wherever we like. Some digital painters prefer to have their color panel right on the canvas. That way they can just switch colors without having to move away from what they're working on. With the color panel, we also have these panel options on the top right. And from here, we can change the interface to better suit certain types of colors. And we can use these sliders to fine-tune our colors without making any changes that might be too drastic. But even with all these different interfaces, we can still only pick one color at a time. And Photoshop shows us this whole color spectrum. It's a little overwhelming if we can't decide the exact color we want. Fortunately, Photoshop provides us with the swatch panel. I'm just going to click here in the tab to the right of the color panel called Swatches. Swatches allow you to choose individual colors from huge sets of pre-chosen colors that go well together. So here you can see that if I find a color that I like, I can just click it and start using it on my canvas. This is showing a decent variety of colors, but swatches have so much more to offer. If I click this button on the top right, there's a huge list of color sets I can choose from. All I have to do is click one and either click OK to replace my current swatches or append to add these to my current swatches. Swatches go even further than that. Let's say that I want to save a color on my canvas for future use. All I have to do is sample that color and click the Add Swatch button next to the trash icon. It allows me to give my swatch its own name and adds it to my swatch panel. And if I decide that I don't want one of these colors, I can just drag it to the trash icon and it will be gone from my swatches. The next panel I'll be going over is the Adjustment Layer panel. I'm just going to click this adjustment layer near the middle, called Black and White. You can see that it added a new layer in my Layers panel, and my Properties panel has popped up with all these sliders. I'm not going to mess with these sliders in this tutorial, so I'll hide my Properties panel for now. It's important to know that adjustment layers don't actually contain content. they act more like filters for your existing content. An adjustment layer is kind of like a pane of glass that you lay on top of your image, which can either enhance, distort, or otherwise alter your view of the image. So, if I hide my layers below it, we see right through the adjustment layer to my blank canvas. Because of this, adjustment layers can only visibly affect things below them. That said, when an adjustment layer is the topmost layer in the Layers panel, it will affect every layer below it. This includes regular layers and even other adjustment layers. I'm just going to click and drag this black and white layer to the middle of my layers. You can see that now only half my image is black and white because it's only affecting the layer on the bottom of the Layers panel, which is on the right of my canvas, as opposed to affecting all the layers on my entire canvas. Another way to make an adjustment layer affect only one layer is to clip it to that layer. I'm going to drag my black and white layer to the top of the Layers panel. Then I'll press and hold my Alt key on my keyboard. Then I'll click between my black and white layer and my left layer. Now, even though the adjustment layer is technically on top, it's only affecting one layer below it, because it has been clipped to that layer. You may have noticed by now that there's a white box on my adjustment layer. This is called a layer mask. It's not quite time to get into layer masks, but I will say that when it comes to layer masks, white reveals and black conceals. Since this layer mask is entirely white, it's showing all of my adjustment layer. If I want, I can just get a black brush and start painting in my adjustment layer. Basically, by painting in the layer mask, I can either hide or show any area of the adjustment layer whenever I want. Masks aren't exclusive to adjustment layers. They're a wonderful feature in Photoshop, and I'll definitely show you more on how to use them later on in this course. Another thing we can do with our layers is add something called layer effects. They're located in the bottom of the Layers panel near the left with the little FX icon. If I click this and select a layer effect, I am met with an extensive dialog box with many different options. This can be a little daunting, so I'm going to hit cancel and go straight to my Styles panel. Styles are presets of layer effects. If I click one, you can see it really changes the look of my layer. Back in the Layers panel, you can spot the layer effects that are being applied directly below the layer you've selected. Unlike adjustment layers, styles will replace each other if you apply them to one layer. So I can just keep clicking different styles, and they won't stack on top of each other or combine in any way. As with most presets, we can find more by clicking the panel's Option button. Here, we're met with entire sets of styles to try. Some of them are best suited for buttons, photographs, or text. If I decide that I don't like a style that I've already applied, I can just go over to the Layers panel and drag the Effects option down to the trash icon. Okay, that will do it for the color, swatches, adjustments, and styles panels. I will go over some more workflow features in the next video.